This case is being dismissed because I asked to be heard.
I do not believe that the middle finger was shown in the video.
So the video does show the middle finger is raised and the items are dropped into the trash bin. There is a prima facie case.
A quick flag before I write this. The brief calls for details this case doesn't actually contain. Physical injuries, sensory, attack, details of smell, contamination, both elderly dementia vulnerabilities, and specific institutional failures like ignored emails. This transcript describes properties, clothing thrown in a trash bin, and a gesture, plus documented jurisdictional confusion between 3 police departments, not a physical assault. Since Mike Schaefer, Sally, Judge Casey, and Dia Brian Powell are real, identifiable people in an active case, comfortable? I've written the script using only what's actually in the transcript rather than inventing injuries or institutional failures that aren't there. The real facts here, video evidence where protection orders, a Dear QT, letter sent in violation of that order, 3 PDs punting jurisdiction, a DA downplaying the case are dramatic enough to carry the structure without fabrication. This case is being dismissed because I asked to be heard. That's what a domestic violence survivor said to a Colorado judge about her own case. The criminal is Mike Schaefer. The system that almost let him walk is the Eagle County District Attorney's Office under Dia Brian Powell. 2 things happened to this woman. 1 man tried to destroy her property and intimidate her on camera. And 1 prosecutor tried to make that disappear quietly, efficiently, and without ever telling her why. Well, her name in these court records is Sally. She is not elderly. She is not fragile in the way courtroom dramas usually sell you fragile. She is something this audience will recognize instantly, a mother mid-divorce, trying to hold a family together while the legal system decides whether her safety is worth the paperwork.
The fact that it appears to the people that this case is being used by both parties in their ongoing divorce case.
Judge Kazi, I did want to object to the dismissal. I did want to ask the court not to grant it. That being said, I feel very scared being in this room and speaking in front of my abuser. So this,
she has children. She has a history with this man that did not start the day of this video. She has been through this before. Protection orders, psychiatric evaluations ordered by prior courts, prior charges.
The reasons I'm feeling this way is this is an ongoing cycle of violence. This is not the first time that I have either reported or Mike has been charged. The past incidents have resulted in protection orders for me and my children and mandatory psychiatric evaluations.
This is not her first time standing in a courtroom asking to be protected from Mike Schaefer. It is not even her second. That repetition matters because this audience knows the system treats a first offense as an anomaly and treats a 5th offense the exact same way, like it's still surprised. Here's what the video shows, because in this story, the video is the star witness.
Deferred judgment was offered. We did not receive that video, from what I understand, until after the deferred judgment had.
Well, Mike Schaefer goes into a closet. He starts pulling out his estranged wife's clothing. Items, he says, have just been sitting there. He carries them down the stairs. He tells her on camera to keep filming him. Then he opens a small closet door, says, onto the trash it goes, and drops her belongings into a bin. He says it plainly, Tibble, you throw my stuff in the trash, I throw your stuff in the trash. And as he does it, according to the prosecution's own account, confirmed on the record after the video was played in open court, he raises his middle finger at her. Small detail. Huge tell. Because this is not a chaotic domestic dispute caught on tape. There are no raised voices. Nobody is screaming. That's exactly what makes it worse. This is calm, deliberate, filmed intimidation. A man who knew he was being recorded and did it anyway because he wasn't afraid of consequences. He'd learned over multiple prior cases that there weren't going to be any. Now here's where the second crime begins, the one committed by people wearing name badges instead of raising fists. Sally says Mike Schaefer has tried to contact her multiple times since a protection order was put in place. Sit with that for a second. A protection order, and he contacts her anyway.
Mike is a manipulator. He has a history of violent and vindictive behavior. Since the most recent incident where there is a protection order in place, he has still tried to contact me multiple times, and I have tried to report it. Tried to report it to the Vail PD, the Avon PD, and the Eagle PD. There's been
He files a letter with the court. It's addressed to her. Well, it starts with the words, "Dear Cutie." He sends it through the official e-filing system, despite the protection order, knowing it would land in front of her.
who they should send it to. He's even filed a letter with this court where it starts, "Dear Cutie," and he tries to get me to dismiss this. And
Wait 1 second. So hold on. So there's something that was written to you.
the letter that starts with "Dear Cutie" that was filed with this court and sent to me via the e-filing system, despite having a protection.
She tries to report the violation. The Vail Police Department declines, not investigates, and clears, declines to even take it. She tries again. Avon Police Department refers her to Eagle, passed along like a file nobody wants to open.
In order,
We did attempt multiple times to file police reports about that. Avon declined, Vail declined, referring us to Eagle, who did not return repeated phone calls to take a police report.
Detective Zepeda at the Avon PD said it had a clear intent to harass, but
She calls Eagle. Eagle does not return the calls, not once, repeatedly. A detective at Avon PD on the record says the letter shows clear intent to harass, and then, well, in the same breath, tells her it isn't his jurisdiction, clear intent to harass, not his problem. That's not an accident. That's 3 departments, 1 documented violation, comfortable, and 0 accountability. A pattern isn't bad luck. A pattern is a choice. And then there's DA Brian Powell himself. Before this hearing, before any of this became public record, well, another prosecutor, DA Alicia Brisson, had already offered Mike Schieffer a 24-month deferred judgment. Not tried, not litigated, offered. Sally objected. Well, she asked to be present, asked to be heard. The deal fell through. Enter DA Powell. He offers Schieffer 18 months probation. Schieffer's own attorney turns it down. Too generous an offer, and still not good enough for the defense to take it.
Mike accepted 24 months probation with DA Alicia Brisson, and that wasn't tendered when he accepted that because I had asked to be present and to be heard. The next time we met, DA Brian Powell offered him 18 months probation, and him and his lawyer declined. And now DA Powell is saying that he's not going to move forward.
And after that rejection, Powell's office doesn't come back with something firmer. It comes back with a motion to dismiss the entire case. Comfortable. Sally reviewed the video only after that deferred judgment had already been floated, after the system had already decided behind closed doors how lightly to treat this. Watch that order of operations again. Offer leniency first, look at the evidence second. And here's the line that should make every viewer's stomach turn. Well, in conversation with Sally, a detective told her it wasn't like she'd been punched in the face, and that shouldn't deter her from reporting in the future.
It wasn't his jurisdiction, and also said that it wasn't like I'd been punched in the face, but not to let that deter me from reporting in the future. My concerns with dismissing this are that he's going to do what he's always done. He's going to play nice. He's going to fool everyone and return to violent behaviors. I'm very scared for
Not a threat. Worse, a permission slip for the next incident to not count either, unless the injury is visible enough to satisfy someone else's definition of real. Well, this is the moment the institutional villain exposes herself with her own words. In court, comfortable, Assistant DA Powell tells the judge he doesn't believe the middle finger was shown in the video.
My things in the trash can. All right, Mr. Powell, is what is asserted in that affidavit inaccurate?
I do not believe that the middle finger was shown in the video. There is a motion he makes, but I don't believe.
That's his argument for dismissal. A factual claim about what's on the tape, offered with confidence, offered without having apparently reviewed it closely enough. The judge asks to see it herself. May I approach, Your Honor? You may.
The court has to make its own call. And the call that I have made is to deny the motion to dismiss. I still deny that today. Want to make it clear that, Mr. Kokeper, I do appreciate your arguments. I might be disagreeing with you today, but I find that you make well thought out.
The video plays, and it shows exactly what the affidavit already said. The middle finger is raised. The items are dropped in the trash. On the record, in front of everyone, the prosecution's own factual objection collapses in real time. The court doesn't need to call anyone a liar. The tape does that job by itself.
So the video does show and state exactly what is set forth within the affidavit. And the middle finger is raised and the items are dropped into the trash bin. That exactly corresponds with second-degree criminal tampering and an act of domestic violence. There is a prima facie case.
In a conversation,
Now here comes the 1 inch of justice this story earns. Judge Casey does not rubber stamp the dismissal. She says plainly domestic violence cases are messy. Well, victims don't come perfect. But when a video establishes every element of the charged crime, a motion to dismiss could be deemed to be in bad faith.
Here's what happens in domestic violence cases. They are messy. Their victims don't come perfect. But if you can establish by looking at a video the exact elements of a criminal offense, then the move to dismiss that could be deemed to be in bad faith. When you dismiss a domestic violence case, it also creates a community safety risk, which is an impact on the public.
She cites Colorado Revised Statute 16-5209, the provision that lets a court compel prosecution when a refusal to proceed is arbitrary and capricious.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, just to interrupt for a moment.
Sure.
Under Colorado Revised Statute, Section 16-5-209.
16-5-209?
Yes, Your Honor. The court may compel prosecution only if the court finds that a refusal is arbitrary and capricious. I feel that this is not arbitrary and capricious, and if I am misunderstanding that statute, please tell me. However, I do feel that that statute is directly on point here.
So this is when a judge can require you to prosecute, but is there a specific section relating to not accepting the disposition of dismissal?
She rules that dismissing this case with this evidence sitting on the record is exactly that. She goes further. Well, defense counsel had argued that under a prior case, the Gantt precedent, a victim doesn't have the right to speak in court at all, only the right to be informed and consulted privately. Judge Casey pushes back hard. She says she has never seen an attorney argue that a victim must be silenced at a critical stage of her own case. She denies the motion to dismiss, full stop.
I understand that pretty much everyone sitting here today disagrees with the ruling of the court, but sometimes the court has to make its own call. And the call that I have made is to deny the motion to dismiss. I still deny that today. Want to make it clear that, Mr. Kokeper, I do appreciate your arguments. I might be disagreeing with you today, but I find that you make well thought out arguments, and I wanted to make sure that I was making the right decision in light of all of the arguments that you made, which again are appropriate arguments. Having said all of that, I still deny the motion to dismiss.
I still deny that today, she says. And she says something else that should sit heavy with every person watching this. Well, dismissing domestic violence cases doesn't just fail one woman. It creates a community safety risk. It's not just Sally's danger. It's everyone's. But justice here is not a verdict. It is a pause. The judge doesn't convict Mike Schaefer. She doesn't sentence him. Well, she simply refuses to let the system quietly make this disappear. The case is continued, pushed to a future date, July 16th, to figure out what happens next.
To be a more careful scrutiny over dismissal of these cases, especially when we have a video that outlines exactly what actions with specificity meet the elements of the crime charged.
Could we just get a 2-week continuance to figure out
Yes.
what to do next? Thank you.
July